this mostly is this mostly like and then you'll create like the audio version with this?
Right. Yeah. Well, what Blab does is that they'll send you both an audio and a video file of it, and we can do whatever we want with those files. So
Gotcha. Sweet.
I'll usually upload it to YouTube, cross post it on blogs and all that kind of stuff, as well as it lives, I guess, forever within Blab as replays also. So
gotcha. So I have a co-conspirator, Phil, who I think is trying to log in as well.
Okay.
Who's the engine of the bike? Let me just send him one more note, and then we can go. Is that all right?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Okay.
So good evening. My name is Gunnar Soros. This is Bike Chat. Normally the host is Jonah D. Pasquale, but he has some other issues to attend to tonight. I believe he's in Florida, and I hope he's enjoying. Hopefully he's got good weather down there. So I do hope that everything's going well with him. I know that he will try. I think he said he was going to try to see if he could log in, but he's not sure. Maybe if we can send him some shout outs on Twitter, that would be great. But with us tonight is Boaz Frankel from the Pedal Powered Talk Show. Now, this is really interesting because who knew you could take a talk show, stick it in a bike, and travel around and interview people? So, Boaz, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your show.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, first of all. I'm excited to be here. But yeah, so about 5 or 6 years ago, I was chatting with my buddy Philip Ross, who runs Metro Feats. They make cargo bikes out here in Portland, Oregon. And, I'd had this idea for a long time because, you always see news vans driving around a city and they have, their tower and all their cameras and editing equipment on there. But I always thought like, well, I wonder if it would be possible to build a TV production into a bicycle.
Right.
And so I was chatting about this idea with Phil, and Phil was like, yeah, definitely. Like, not only is that possible, like, let's do that. Yes. And so we sort of grabbed beers a few weeks later and started doodling on napkins and had this idea for, creating this Johnny Carson style late night talk show desk and mounting it, to the front of a cargo bicycle instead of, the normal box or basket or whatever.
Right.
And we're lucky enough to sort of get some funding for that from some local companies. And then we started riding around and filming interviews, and we've been doing it now. This is our 5th season. So, we've been all over the place now, sort of all over Oregon. And this year we took the show out of state for the first time to South Dakota. And it's, rather than being in a studio, sort of the bicycle affords us this very cool way of just getting to go all over the places. And really meeting a lot of people in a wide array of locations and beautiful destinations.
Great. Awesome. Now, you said that you kind of came up with the idea in talking to him. Was that a problem to get everything to fit into a cargo bike like that? Or, I mean, it sounds like he kind of had it all planned out already when you mentioned it, that hey, that's no problem at all, let's just do it. And, was that kind of an issue?
Well, conceptually it was easy, we got that part, but yeah, the construction was definitely a little more complicated because the desk is much larger than one of the boxes they usually build on the front. And so if you see it, the wheel is sort of in this weird little hole in the front of the desk, so it does have like we had to sort of work with that, and it still has a pretty narrow turning radius within there. So you have to do pretty wide turns because we wanted the desk to be, sort of this nice, sort of imposing, serious desk like you'd see on TV. And also because of, those desks always look really fancy. At the same time, we're riding this around and it has gotten sort of chipped and we've crashed it a little bit and there's a lot of rain in Portland. So it also had to be really durable. So I think in the end they used some sort of like, the kind of shellac they'd use on like boats or something, just because, it has to be pretty well protected and keep the elements out. But also, we still want it to look like a beautiful piece of furniture at the same time. So there were definitely a bunch of delays as we were building it, as we were sort of learning things and figuring it out. And we've done a few upgrades over the year and had to do some repairs. But overall, it's still going strong after 5 years.
Excellent. No, well, and it's a beautiful looking bike slash desk piece of equipment. I mean, the box on it looks great, and when you have it set up, I mean, it definitely looks like a late night talk show desk, and so it
Yeah,
definitely
thank
gets it done. Um, and also, I noticed the one of the pictures on your website with the is that a lynx or a jaguar? What is
Yeah,
that?
cheetah.
Okay, that's amazing. That I mean, he's just right up on there, and so you know,
Yeah, well, it's funny because that cheetah kept wanting to jump on there. I guess it likes to go on sort of the highest thing around. And so we were interviewing a cheetah trainer at the safari, and as soon as we got there, the cheetah kept like trying to jump on, and the trainer was like, "No, no." So finally, at then they're like, "Well, let's just get the cheetah
let's
up
just
there.
do
Why
it.
not?
Yeah,
It wants to go up there anyways. We might as well snap a few photos."
right. No,
Um,
that was I mean that's impressive. Um,
yeah, that was awesome. That was definitely a pretty thrilling moment. I wasn't supposed to touch the cheetah, but it did brush against me, which was cool.
oh wow. Yeah, I'd be a little nervous, but yeah, that would be a thrill, definitely. Um,
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, I think, the chance to meet a cheetah, we've also got to hang out with elephants and feed
mhm.
them apples. And I think that's one of the exciting things about making a talk show is just sort of you think about the different places you'd like to visit or the people you wish you had an excuse to talk to. And now suddenly we do have an excuse because we're filming, Pedal Power Talk Show episode. Otherwise, I don't know if I could just call up a random Native American flute maker and just ask him to coffee, for no
Right,
reason. But now, if I have a few
right.
questions, now I've got a sort of a framing device with which to talk to anybody I want to.
Excellent. And has that been an issue getting guests or getting people to come on, or you just mention it and people are excited to be there?
It's gotten easier. When we first started, people, didn't know what we were. It was hard to I think understand for someone who never heard of us to be like, okay, it's a desk and it's on a bicycle and we can go anywhere, but we don't have to talk about bikes. We'll talk about other things. And
Right.
I think it took a while. Now, at least in Portland, if we when we present it to people, they're usually like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, we've heard about that." Of course, we did it in South Dakota this year and filmed a bunch of episodes up there, and no one had heard of us there. So then again, you have to explain it. But people
Right.
are usually, pretty pumped. Sometimes we've dabbled in interviewing some celebrities and stuff like that, and we've done a bit of that, and that's always a little more of a challenge because those people usually have very busy schedules and we've gotten canceled on and rescheduled or just people have said flat out no a bunch, but
Hmm.
that's just part of the business. I'm sure any talk show, I'm sure some people have said no to Conan before, so
Right. Right.
we've we've just had to get used to that.
Excellent. And you've mentioned celebrities. I've seen that you talked to, who was it, Ed Bagley Jr.?
Yeah, Ed Bagley Jr., who has family in Portland, so he comes up here a bunch. We've talked to him, and of course, he's a big car-free advocate as well. He does a lot of cycling.
Hmm.
And we talked to Bruce Campbell, who's star of the Evil Dead series,
Okay,
and
nice.
he's also a cyclist too. I think more of a casual cyclist, but he rides around Southern Oregon, which is where he lives. So he was in town for a Comic-Con in Portland, so we chatted with him there.
Excellent. Excellent. And then your show, is it mainly online? Like, does it live on YouTube, or do you actually have like, I don't know, syndication, or do you have episodes that you send out to like, I don't know, public TV or public access or anything like that?
It lives online, so YouTube is its primary home.
Okay.
Although we've had episodes air a bunch of places, we have a lot of local channels here in town who are friends with us, and so every once in a while they'll air episodes or clips of one, um, to support us, which is awesome. But generally, YouTube is its sort of home base,
Excellent.
and
Excellent.
it's exciting just because you can sort of share stuff as it comes up, and you don't have to wait for any sort of slot and
Right.
it's this is sort of the era of YouTube, so it's fun to be able to interact and share stuff with people that way.
Right. Well, it's definitely more of an on-demand type of thing, and people can watch what they want to watch when they want to watch it. And I think it's kind of the wave of the future, if not. I mean, definitely it's in the present also. So, and they're constantly updating their offerings of how to deliver their content. So, uh, definitely good to see that that's working out for you. Um, who has probably been the most interesting interview or guest that you've had?
Well, probably I'm trying to think. Recently, one really cool one was in South Dakota. We talked to this veteran rodeo clown, who's been doing it for 40 plus years and had just crazy stories about being trampled by bulls and traveling the country. And then, just went and did some tricks for us. He had a horseback there, and, he made him like walk on a barrel. And then he has this whole routine with making a goat appear out of a box. And so it's so cool. I mean, this guy who, could have easily been my grandfather, who's, been doing this for so long and is still so into it and still so fit, and just had so many amazing stories to tell about, something I know nothing about, rodeo clowning. So that was just so cool to sort of be immersed in this world and then have him share his craft with us.
Right.
That was a really fun one. I've sort of made friends through the show as well. One of the people we interviewed last year is the Unipiper, who's got a reputation in town. He rides a unicycle around, plays bagpipes, and dresses as Darth Vader. And he's made his rounds around the internet as well. So a lot of people have heard of him or seen him. He's appeared on a lot of other TV shows as well. And so he was a really fun guest, and we were able to do a ride-along interview. So are you familiar with the like extra cycles? They have like the bench on the back of the bike. So we had our cameraman sitting backwards on an extra cycle, riding, and we were riding behind him. And then the Unipiper was riding right next to us. So we were filming, we sort of had all these three bikes going, and we had our audio guy sort of running alongside, recording everything with all his receivers. And, another photographer running. So that was just like such a fun shoot, because usually we're stationary when we're interviewing, park the bike, we set chairs up around the desk. But this time I was sitting inside the desk, and it was just so cool. And also his bagpipe shoot flames now. And so he was shooting flames, and Phil, who, created the show with me and is the engine of the bike, he was sitting, pedaling, and those flames were like coming like within an inch of his face. It was sort of terrifying.
Right.
But it was a lot happening at once, but that was a fun one. And he's, Brian, the Unipiper, is awesome. And it was fun to do something like that with him. And also one time we did a ride along interview on a horse, where we were, I was riding along and interviewing, from the desk. And then we had Alice, this woman in Eastern Oregon, who's a sort of a jack of all trades, a Renaissance woman. And she was riding her horse nearby, and we're doing the entire interview in motion.
Wow. Now those must be, at least technically, they must be kind of hard to set up, but they sound like they would be a blast.
Yeah. There are definitely a few more technical challenges, but it's fun, and that's sort of one of the things that the Pedal Powered Talk Show sort of affords us. We're out on the field all the time already, and we've got a small sort of ragtag crew who's up for experimenting and doing some crazy things.
Right. So how far do you usually travel? I guess what's a typical day? You get everything set up and you ride to the location. How far usually is the location from, I don't know, home base, I guess?
It depends. There's this really awesome bike shop / music venue / bar / cafe called VeloCult here in Portland.
Okay.
And so that's usually where the Pedal Powered Talk Show lives. It just sort of hangs out there, and they're nice enough to keep it there and give it a tune up when it needs it. And so we usually pedal from there, and it depends. So some days we'll shoot like 3 episodes. I remember there was one day we had like 2 or 3 episodes, and they were all like, I don't know, maybe 20 miles away from each other. And we didn't schedule enough time. So we were just like booking it, from one to the next. Usually most days, we have 1 or 2 and they're not that far. And, Portland's pretty well set up for bicycling. So it's not too crazy.
Right. Now then going to South Dakota, you said, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there we couldn't pedal the entire way, clearly. Right.
So you packed it up in a car and then went to a location and then rode around there.
Well, yeah, actually we were shorter on time. And so we had to end up building a crate for it and shipping it, which was terrifying because we just had to hope that it arrived in one piece, and we had it delivered to a local bike shop in Rapid City who were kind enough to unpack it and tune it up and just make sure everything was operational after it got there. So thankfully, those guys did a great job and nothing happened in that shipment. But yeah, that was a scary moment to sort of get to that bike shop and see the bike and make sure it made it.
Right. Well, that's always the tough thing of especially putting a bike in a crate, or even I've flown with bikes before, and you pack it up and you just kind of hope that it makes it to the destination at least somewhat okay, because sometimes you have to true wheels or
I just hope
just
it's
think.
not like, being stacked next to a sack full of anvils or something on that truck.
Right, exactly, and they all tip over right on top of your
Yeah.
bike. That's the worst that could happen. But um, so I assume all your equipment then, I mean, basically everything's battery powered, right? So you got to make sure everything is charged up and ready to go beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot of extra batteries for cameras and stuff to make sure we don't run out of anything. But yeah, definitely lots of extra batteries. Yeah, especially if we're, somewhere like the Badlands in South
Right,
Dakota. There's nowhere else we can go.
exactly. Now you said Philip, he does, he's the engine, he's the one that that rides it. He must be like a monster because to be able to pedal that thing around with, and a lot of times with you in there
Hmm.
also, and
Yeah, and various equipment. Yeah, it is not light. He's definitely a powerhouse.
mhm.
He drinks a lot of beer on those days, a
There
lot of
you go.
fuel for to
Recovery
pedal us
drink, yeah.
places.
Nice. Now he also builds cargo bikes himself. He's you said he's the owner of Metro Fights.
Yeah, Metro Feats, who builds Dutch style cargo bikes right here in Portland. So yeah,
Nice.
so he sort of runs this little empire over there, and they're cranking out a bunch of bikes that are they send all over the U.S. now.
Right. Well, I know that in the last couple of years, they've that style of bike has really exploded. Not just as like a delivery vehicle, but for families, people that want to use them as transportation. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, and you see more and more in Portland. Just people picking up their kids, dropping them off in the morning. Um, just toting a few kids, and maybe there's like one of those little extra seats attached behind for the older kid, and
Right.
you know, it's
Right.
very cool.
Right. Well, I know it used to be that it was strange to see extra cycles, and then now you see these Dutch cargo bikes, and I mean, it's kind of refreshing to see all different styles of bikes being kind of accepted now. I mean, nobody looks down upon any particular bike. I mean, maybe I was uppity when I was younger, but if it wasn't a racing bike, it was like, you ride one of those. Oh, you ride a hybrid. They're garbage. But it's nice to see that all bikes are pretty much accepted almost everywhere nowadays. I mean, you go somewhere and you see people on cargo bikes, you see people on, regular hybrids pulling a trailer, and there's all kinds of bike love going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you see all sorts in Portland for sure. I was funny. We did this billboard campaign, I guess about a year ago, where we had 4 different billboards for the Pedal Power Talk Show around Portland, and then we did a bike ride riding to all of them, and we had like a little event. And so
Nice.
that was a great example where even on the way, I think, to the first billboard, we passed 2 people riding tall bikes, and they
Wow.
were like these 2 clowns who I guess some people knew. I guess they do a lot of children's events. So we were riding by, and they're like, "Oh, I forget their names, but they're like, oh, there they are." And we were just like, come with us, come with us. And then they like joined in. So we had these 2 tall bikes with us riding around. And then we got to our first billboard where we'd set up a meetup with this group, the Grilled by Bike, who attached grills to their bicycles, and then they're
Okay.
like grilling as they go. So they've got like burgers or veggies, like frying up on their grill as
Holy
they're
cow.
riding. And that was
Nice.
great. And so we had
Yeah.
them meet us at one of the billboards, and they were handing out samples of like roasted peppers or like sausages and stuff. And then they joined us, and then we met up with the Unipiper on his unicycle. So yeah, we had all sorts of bikes coming together. It was very fun.
Wow. That must have been such a sight. That would have been
Yeah,
something to take part in. I mean, holy cow.
it was
That's
a
great.
blast. It was a fun day.
Awesome. Um, Let me see here. You did mention that you got funding or sponsorship. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't want to get into too specific, but how does that work? I mean, do you just say, "Hey, we have this idea for a show," and were they on board, or I mean,
Yeah, we
did it
had
take a lot of convincing?
a different, few different folks here in town. So I had a prior relationship with Keen Footwear.
Okay.
It's based here in Portland. And so when I had this idea, I sort of brought it to them and said, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're like, "Okay, like, yeah, how much money do you need to build that bike? Like, here it is. Here's a check. Let's get it built."
Wow.
Which
Holy.
is really generous. And then at various other points when we wanted to take the bike to Eastern Oregon and do a bunch of episodes out there, and they, helped support that. And similarly, there's a local tea company called Stephen Smith Tea Maker that makes super awesome teas. And this guy is amazing. He was actually an early guest on the show because he started Stash Tea Company and Tazo Tea Company, which got bought by Starbucks, and Stash got bought by other people, and then started a third company. And unfortunately, passed away from cancer a few months back. But he, he was a friend of the show, and similarly was like, okay, yeah, I'd love to help. Like, let me send you some money. And when we were doing other special trips, and like, hey, we really want to take the show here, but it's going to cost a little more money. He's like, here's a check, like here's some tea, like good luck. And it was really, we sort of support them and tell as many people about them as we go. And they really weren't asking for much as like, we think you're doing something cool and we want to be a part of it. We want to help make that happen. And similarly, Nutcase Helmets here in town has helped out in the past as well. So we've been really lucky to have a bunch of people who've been really supportive and just pumped about the show and similarly excited.
Wow. No, that's great to see people get on board so quickly and so passionately also. And that's amazing. So you've done 5 seasons. How many episodes in a season usually?
It depends. There's like around, we just had our 50th episode, just so generally, I guess, around 10 episodes in a season or so.
Okay. And are you planning the 6th season right now, or?
I think we're still going to have a few more episodes in our 5th season before we call it a season. Okay. And then usually we sort of take a little bit to recover, and then a few months later we start filming. And once we've banked enough episodes, we sort of announce the next season.
Okay.
That's the nice thing about doing it on YouTube. It's not like there are any hard and fast rules that we have to premiere in September and wrap up whenever. We do whatever feels right, and people are cool with that.
Right. Well, that's the nice thing about the online shows is that, I mean, if you want to have 3 episodes a season or 100 episodes a season, whatever makes you happy is kind of how it goes. So
yeah,
that's great. Now I see on your website there's a picture of you guys in the bike in a raft going down the river. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because that looks nuts to me.
For sure. Yeah, that was a pretty cool sort of opportunity that came up. We were invited to talk at the Governor's Conference on Tourism in Oregon. So we sort of did some entertainment at one of their events there. And so we went down there, and while we were down there, we met people clearly from all over the state, and they're all wanted us to come to their part of the state and visit. They're like, hey, if you come out to Eastern Oregon, we can do some stuff on horses. And this one guy came up and was like, hey, if you come to Southern Oregon, I own this rafting company. I'll put your bike on a raft and we can take it down the Rogue River. Which was like, okay. And it took a while because we had to sort of coordinate that trip and make it happen. But about 1.5 years later, I sent him an email and was like, okay, we're coming down like in 2 months, like, let's make this happen. And so he kept his word. So we went down there and we took the bike on there and we strapped it on, with a bunch of cords. And then we took another raft out in front of it and put our camera guy on that and all our gear, and used a few GoPros and stuff as well. And and then we shot it. We did it. And we went through rapids and and did all that stuff. And somehow it worked out. I mean, they know the river really well. So they were like, I promise we won't flip. We promise the cameraman will not fall off his raft. The camera will not fall in. And we sort of put as much as we could in plastic bags, but we didn't even need it. He did a great job. He was like, how big of a splash do you want on this desk? We're like, pretty big. We don't want to, crash it, but we want to see, that water coming up. And so he was like, okay, we'll take it down this way. And they were experts. And so it was awesome. It was so fun, a little scary, but it was so cool and wild and surreal and funny to do that.
Right. Well, I'm sure that was exhilarating. I'm going to throw up the link to that episode on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a fun one.
That's the Rogue River one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so you've been around Oregon, and you've done some in South Dakota. Are you planning any other states?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are a ton of states that I would love to hit up. I mean, we still have never been to Washington State, which is 15 minutes away from here. So that's one thing. But also, I'd love to do something more tropical. Like if we could do it in Hawaii or just something warmer, maybe the desert in New Mexico or Arizona, or do something like, what if we went on a cruise ship or something, or some Alaskan fishing boat and did like an episode, or a few episodes in the middle of the ocean. So there are, there's a billion things. And of course, one day it would be amazing to take it overseas. We're toying with the idea a little bit and try to figure out some sponsorship stuff. If we could like go to Iceland, so that, we haven't been able to figure that out yet, but certainly, taking it to Asia one day would be amazing.
Right. I'm sure Japan would be very interesting.
Yeah.
South Korea. I mean, really, I think the opportunities are almost endless. I mean, just the format and the fact that everything is, not, I guess everything is self-contained and portable, that you could, once you get it to a city or location, then you can go within that location almost anywhere. So that you guys are onto something really awesome there. I think.
Yeah, thanks. We're having a lot of fun with it. Where do you think we should go?
Definitely. I think, tropical would be nice. Hawaii.
Yeah.
Been there a lot. You should come up here to Minnesota and tour some of the brewer. I know you guys in Oregon have a lot of craft beers there, but
For sure.
we have a big brewery population growing here in Minnesota, and you can tour.
Where are you in Minnesota?
I'm in Rochester, Minnesota, but the Twin Cities area has a huge amount of breweries going. I mean, it's like an explosion. There's
my fiance is from the Twin Cities, so I'm over from there, at least once a year or so.
Nice, yeah, and they have a pretty big bike culture up there. It's I think League of American Wheelmen said that they're one of the best bike cities in the U.S. So. Pretty amazing stuff. Obviously, home of quality bike products. They Surly and Salsa and a bunch of other brands under their house. So
maybe those guys can get together and sponsor a little Minnesota pedal powered talk show adventure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that they would be behind it. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love that.
In addition to, besides that kind of stuff, there's all sorts of outdoorsy things to do up here. 10,000 lakes, so there's always fishing. You could go ice fishing.
Oh man, I would love to get this. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, on a lake in winter, that'd be so cool. We recently just filmed on ice for the first time for our 50th episode. We interviewed. We have like a minor league hockey team in town, so we interviewed one of their players in the middle of the ice rink, which was very fun. And a little scary, I think. We didn't ride the bike on the ice. Seemed like a little too much, but
yeah, it would be a little scary to ride on it. You definitely don't want to crash on ice. It's not very soft. So, let's see here. You guys also have a very interesting blog. And you blog about wanting to talk to former President
George W. Bush.
Yeah, George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Are you hoping that that's going to be a reality, or you said that he wrote back, but you think you'll ever be able to get to talk to him or interview him?
I don't know. He's just fascinates me. He's, certainly an interesting guy. And now, since he's sort of pseudo retirement, I guess, we've learned that he bikes around Texas a bunch and he paints, and he doesn't do a lot of press interviews. So it just seems like it would be a real get if we got him. And I'd love to do another ride along interview. We could get our, our cameraman, Patrick, on the back of an extra cycle again and ride around that ranch. And I just think that would be a hoot. So I would love that. They wrote a very nice letter from his office, I guess, that we got, which said that they appreciated our video request and said that he's not on the public stage anymore, and so he's taking some quiet time. But maybe at some point, if he wants to promote something, I don't know, a line of a new book or a line of polo shirts, or I don't know what he's got in store, but would be happy to promote that on the Pedal Power Talk Show. But yeah, there's a lot of people would love to chat with for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I could I'm trying to think. Well, we've always wanted to have a Muppet on the show.
Oh, that would be fun too.
That would be sweet. We're still waiting for that to happen, and yeah, there's a bunch of people. I'd interview any former or current president. I think that would be pretty exciting.
Right.
Well, one thing I would have loved to do, and maybe we'll do this in 4 years, is go to like Iowa or New Hampshire, and see how many candidates we could talk to.
Right.
And would probably be asking different questions than most people, but I think that would be fun.
Right. Now, I noticed too that a lot of your interviews, you have like a little box that spits out questions. Is that just some sort of random question spitter outer box? Or?
Yeah, it's the Ask-O-Matic. So we had a local sort of like artist made it. He builds a lot of crazy contraptions for Burning Man and other projects, and he does a lot of art installations. And so I told him, we wanted to make this box that would spit out random questions, and he made it. So it's this beautiful little wooden box with a bird sort of mounted on top. I've got it over there if you want to see it. I don't know if should I grab it?
If you want to bring it over and show us, yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, I'll go grab it.
That's okay, Dan. It's all good. We're talking to Boaz. There we go.
I'll put my things back in here.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So here it is. There's some good audio we can capture also from this thing. It's a loud machine.
Okay.
Or else should I hold it up so you can see it?
Yeah.
Here we go. It's a bunch of gears over here. I actually don't know if it's loaded right now, but you can hear that, right?
Yeah. And the ding.
Oh, you know what? You're in luck. You're gonna have to answer a question.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay. What is your favorite weather and temperature?
Oh, my favorite weather and temperature. Okay. I would have to say temperature range is easier because I would say 60s to 70s and sunny. I mean, as long as it's sunny,
yeah, I
can handle it. I'm not. Dan K says partly cloudy, 60. I like it when it's sunny and not when it's too hot. Of course, I'm talking as a cyclist. So when it gets up into the mid upper 70s and it starts getting too hot and you're sweating a lot.
I sort of like, when there's a little breeze and it's a little cold, so you like need a jacket.
Right. And when you work hard, then you generate your own heat, and so you stay warm that way. But then when it gets too cold,
no humidity. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, excellent. No, I love that random question.
And in fact, I don't even know. What was that?
The Ask-O-Matic, is that what it's called?
Ask-O-Matic. Yeah, I don't even know. I've never seen the questions before. They are written by another person. Sometimes we say that they're just magically created by the box, but the truth is they are written by another person. So I've never seen the questions before. So it's always a total surprise when I see them as well. So it's fun because I think, I'm on equal footing with the guests. We're not trying to make anybody look bad. We're both surprised by whatever comes out of this box.
Right. No, yeah. See, that's a great way, especially interviewing all sorts of different people. Then you're on the same, like you said, you're on the same footing. You haven't heard it before, and they seem like they're interesting questions also. So
yeah, I think so. Okay, let me ask you a question here.
Sure.
What if now there's on the corner there's the two little hands and a number? What does that mean?
Those, I think Blab calls them props, and what they are is kind of like, I sit here and go, whoa, like that.
Oh, I see.
And so when someone presses on them, then you see they're.
Oh, I just got another. Oh, I just got a ton.
Yeah.
Gosh, Dan is hooking me up.
See?
I'm like over 50 now. This is great.
No, yeah. So it's a way for people that are tuning in to kind of give applause, or I think on some other platforms they're.
Yeah, you're getting a ton.
Yeah.
So we're both getting a lot. I'd love to get to 100. I don't want to make anybody put any pressure on anybody, but it would just be a true honor to get to 100.
Yeah. See?
Yes, I did it. Woo! Gosh, this is thrilling.
No.
We're just so used to getting a lot of, you just always need acknowledgement online now. I'm just like, you're addicted to it.
Right. Well, and it's funny because, it's a nice way to get a little bit of feedback right away. But then the drawback is that at the end of the show, when everything's shut down, then they go away. They disappear.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, my day is complete. Skinatchy, is that how you say it?
Scannacci. I
Ganachi.
believe,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, my day's totally confused. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to start again next time
Right, yeah.
with
Start
zero little
over
hand.
and yeah, we'll get the props going again. Nice. Um, let's see here. So you've talked about some places that you've liked to go.
Hmm.
Out of everywhere that you said, what would be like your dream destination, and then your dream guest or dream interview? I guess you could say.
Hmm. That's a great question. I would love. I mean, I think it would be so cool. I don't know. I mean, I think something tropical. Like if we're in like a tropical, rainforest on the side of a volcano that's like steaming next to us, like something like that. I mean, I just love. I think that's part of the absurdity and magic of the show is just, that they're like, oh my gosh, they're strapped on a raft and going down a river. Like they're just in
Right.
the middle of the Badlands on the side of that cliff, or, they're in the middle of an ice skating ring or the middle of a roller skating ring and the roller skaters are, going all around them. Like I just sort of love that
Right.
absurdity and that sort of amazing shot in that moment. So I think
Well,
something like that, like on the side of, okay, so I'm on the side of a volcano, like a tropical volcano, which is like smoking behind us, and
uh-huh.
I'm interviewing. Oh, I'm just trying to think who would be like a good pairing for that scenario. And I'm interviewing like uh oh gosh, I don't know, Dame Judi Dench.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Excellent.
I don't
Nice.
know, someone like that would just be like just strange and exciting and like what
Right.
would both be sort of having this really unique experience together.
Right. Right. Well, I'm sure. I mean, I can't speak for Dame Judi Dench, but I could say, if you get to Hawaii, you could probably get fairly close to the volcano. I mean, I don't know about
Yeah.
right next to it, but probably close enough. And you're on a bike, so if the lava starts moving closer, you can always get on and ride away a little bit
Yeah,
further.
could we outrace the lava? That would be well, it'd be an exciting episode, even if it is our last one.
Right?
People
Yeah.
would watch that.
Live online, boy,
Yeah.
right? Outrun the lava. That would be a sight. I think that would we should figure out how to get that to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be
Uh,
into it.
Excellent. Um, so when you do have off time, so like in the middle of seasons, do you try to come up with stuff prior to, or do you just kind of go into the season and say, okay, we're gonna let's contact this person and see if they're up for it, or how much planning, I guess,
There's
goes
like a
into it.
constant list. So it's really, there's a lot of things that we sort of wanted to do since season one, and we're just sort of keep pursuing it. And then it finally happens in season five. So it's almost like there's just a rolling list and they
Mhm.
come, sometimes we'll think of new things, but like for instance, Storm Large, she's a musician here in Portland, a singer, is very funny and hilarious and very talented. We'd wanted her to be on the show, I think, for 3 years, and it was just sort of a question of timing and when that worked out. Even at the zoo, like filming at the zoo was a little complicated due to construction, and we wanted to get close to the elephants, and when would the keepers be available? And so that was also
Right.
like a 4-year process. So a lot of these there's sort of a lot of things on our to-do list constantly.
Okay.
So it's just sort of a question of when it actually happens. So, at any moment, there's probably like 6 people I'm negotiating with and trying to figure out and being rejected, or they're saying like, let's try again in 3 months, or we just keep rescheduling. So that's all constantly happening. And so, we've always got some coals in the fire.
Right. Right. As far as the bike goes, you've said that you've had some crashes and some scratches and that kind of stuff. Anything major happen with the bike, or
One time as we were filming, and we just had finished filming like a quick little promo, and then we were writing it off screen, so we don't have any footage. So we actually have audio, so you can like hear us crashing.
right?
But it was like a steep embankment, and it sort of turned, and somehow, and we just ended up sort of crashing. I mean, it was a relatively slow crash, but like scratching the whole side of the bike. It got all messed up, and my arm got bloody.
Oh,
And yeah, so that was a little rough. It's a faster crash than I would have liked. It wasn't, so I was a little bloody, and the bike was really banged up. So we
mhm.
had to get some I don't know, filler in the wood to smooth it out and then refinish everything. And
Right. Right.
we needed to fix that up. Luckily, it was not on the camera side.
Okay.
We usually have the bike facing one direction when we film, and so it was on like the back side, thankfully, because we were about to go like host a live event with it. So it worked out okay. Although one day this was sort of unrelated, but I also sometimes ride a little gas scooter around town.
Okay.
And one day I sort of crashed and didn't really know how bad it was, but it turns out I'd broken my wrist, but then had to go film an episode, a Pedal Power Talk Show episode. And I was a little out of it, and we filmed 2 episodes right afterwards. And then like the next day, when my swelling didn't go down, I realized I had fractured the wrist. Oh, Dan's got some stuff. He says, "Go on, we should do a tornado chase with the bike."
Yeah, that would be exciting. And
That's
then
a great idea.
What's the fastest you've gone on a bike?
I wasn't on there, but but Phil was riding it on Mount Tabor, which is like a park around town, and he says he got it up to 40 miles per hour.
Holy cow! on the pedal powered bike, that's pretty amazing, especially
which sounds terrifying.
Yeah, with the small wheel on the front. I mean, I'm sure the extra weight of it kind of makes it more stable, but even still, it seems like it would be a little scary.
A little freaky. I'm glad I wasn't on there for that one.
Yeah. Could you imagine surfing on top of the box during that?
Yeah. Not yet. I'll have to practice.
Right. Scanacci asking, have you ever transported a tiger on a bike?
Not yet. I'll tell you what we have transported. We fit 2 people in the bike before, or even like 2 people in it and 1 person on it. So we've transported quite a few folks. And my friend has a wiener dog that is ridden in the bike. So we've transported the wiener dog and also a baby once.
Oh, wow.
For another, we had a little intro where we had a baby who was into it. We pulled her out of the bike at one point. Oh, wiener dogs count. Scanacci says, okay.
There you go. Awesome. Keep those questions coming, people, because definitely that adds to a lot of fun on this. Let's see here. Now, all this wildlife talk is reminding me of the video of the ostrich chase that has been going around. Have you seen that?
No, send me that link.
I know it's on YouTube, but apparently a group of cyclists were riding along, and an ostrich comes up and is literally like drafting the cyclists and then passes them. Yeah, so
that's awesome. I have to see that. I'd love to film on like an ostrich farm or something. Maybe we could do something with that. Yeah, when we were in South Dakota, we rode it around a field full of sheep and cows, which is pretty fun. It was pretty funny. We got some cool footage of it.
Well, and I saw was it an episode or a photo with the llamas, or llama and alpaca?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they made a cameo in an episode. That we filmed season 3, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, we like animals.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't like animals? I love it.
Exactly.
Everybody likes animals.
One time we had a porcupine inside the bike too. It wasn't moving. It was stationary. It was like sort of sniffing around. We had a snake in there once and a parrot also.
I hope the parrot's wings were clipped so he doesn't fly away.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. I think he was just sort of well trained.
Nice. Let's see here. I had a question in mind, and then I just flew out of my head. I need one of those Askobots also, so that I can get some random questions myself. What?
Oh, here's the ostrich link for later. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, no, that's fun. It's definitely worth a look. It's surprising how fast they go, and then also how large they are. So I don't know. To me, I think if an ostrich came up beside me and was trying to race me, I think I'd slow down and stop and let him pass me.
Yeah.
You have a lot of press about your bikes. Is that all local within Oregon? It looks like Bike Portland and a couple of TV shows have reported on you.
Yeah. A lot of folks in town. But there are a few other like national biking magazines and sites have sort of mentioned us before. And Yeah, if a number of other websites, yeah, across the country have given us little write ups here and there, which has been cool.
Have you noticed like a jump in viewership after those type of things air, or?
Yeah, definitely some. I'm trying to think. There was a big one. The local PBS station did like a really awesome piece on us and spent like 3 days with us filming, and that aired on OPB, which is the Oregon Public Broadcasting Station, and that a ton of people saw and really like heard about the show from there. That happened um, maybe like 5 months ago or so. So that was a fun one.
Nice.
And also coming up, well, one thing
Mhm.
that we'd wanted to do, we had our quest for George W. Bush, but also we wanted to get on the show Portlandia,
Right. Yes.
which purports to show all this crazy and wonderful things, all the crazy and wonderful things about Portland. But of course, one thing they haven't included is us, and I like to think
Right.
we're one of the weird and wonderful things about Portland.
Well, I would say
And
probably the flagship for Portland. I mean, at least
I would like to think so, yeah. And
because
so we wrote him a letter, and then sort of an online petition to them, and then we printed out a giant letter that was like 3 feet tall or whatever, and had like 400 of our friends sign it, and then delivered it to the production offices, and then we didn't hear, and then finally this summer they called and were like, hey, we're shooting a giant bike scene. Do you want to come and bring like your biking friends? And we're like, yeah, sure. So we sort of told people on Facebook, and they were like, bring 20 folks if you can. And ended up bringing, I think, 70 people.
nice.
So they were pumped. We filmed a big scene, which is going to be on the season finale this year on March 24th. They actually just released a teaser, and you can see me in it for like 2 seconds. So there's a monster attack, and we're all riding across the bridge, and I'm wearing my nutcase helmet and screaming.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was very cool. Yeah. And Steve Buscemi directed us, the actor.
Wow.
He was like guest directing that episode. So that was awesome. It was like, got to meet him, and he was very friendly, and he was very, very nice, and like knew our names as we were filming, was like, Boaz, okay, stay here and then walk here and stop right when this camera gets here and then hold this a little longer. And yeah, we did 5 or 6 takes. It was very cool.
Excellent. Get some actual acting experience in there and being directed by someone. That's pretty cool. Just another cyclist asking, what do you think about the way Portlandia has portrayed cyclists so far? Mm-hmm. Thinking of the guy with the whistle in his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, everybody on that show is a very extreme version. So I mean, I don't watch it regularly. It's sort of hit or miss. I think like, Saturday Night Live, it's, there's a few things on there that are really funny, and then other things that sort of fall flat. Honestly, it feels like not a lot of people in Portland watch it anymore. Like it's sort of the novelty's worn off, and it feels like it's, less connected, sort of to Portland every season almost.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think neither of them live in Portland, Fred or Carrie. Fred, I think at some point lived part-time here, and Carrie used to live here, but I think Fred's in New York and Carrie's in LA now. So I feel like it's sort of less and less connected. And so certainly that, the guy that Fred plays, I think he's got like ear studs and piercings and whatever, and is riding his bike and is being, sort of aggressive.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I'm sure there are a few, aggressive cyclists out there in Portland, but there's also, a lot of friendly cyclists, just, like there are people or whatever.
Right. Well, I think, yeah. At least to me, it seems like they take the stereotypes and just kind of play it up a little bit, and make it a little bit over the edge and stuff, and it's all in fun. And I don't think they necessarily portray cyclists in a bad light. Just just that particular character. I mean, at least that's the way I take it.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, there's got a big scene with a lot of cyclists coming up on March 24th on that season finale. So we'll see how we're portrayed there.
Exactly.
Maybe they'll make us all look mean or something, but I hope not.
Right. Well, and Dan K has a question that's a little off topic, but not a big deal. So he's asking about light setups for bikes as riding in the be visible. Yeah, so that's really important. For myself, what I have is I think it's called a night rider, light, and I want to say it's like 35 watts. Now you can get ones that are like up to 200 watts, that are super bright, and usually they have a battery pack. And those are great to be seen as a headlight. And then on the rear, basic flashing, red flashing light is great. And I don't know what the wattages are on them, but they come in LEDs and they're super bright. So, just a basic setup is going to be a lot better than nothing. But what I also do is I recommend, I use a lot of reflective tape. I think it's 3M reflective tape.
I use the stuff called Ride Safe.
Okay, I've seen that. Yeah,
really cool little stickers that are awesome and have different shapes, and so you can make little designs. Right. And it's the same, the 3M stuff, so that when a light hits it, it's just like crazy bright.
Right, and I like putting it on the wheels. So like I'll take strips of it and I'll put it on the wheels, and then that kind of as it's spinning, it really gives off a good effect.
Mm-hmm.
Skinnachi is asking, throw it back in reverse. I'd imagine that Portlandia is as accurate for Portland as Dallas was for Dallas. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I bet that's probably right.
Yeah, it's and I'm sure there's other locations that have been filmed in TV shows and stuff that are, it shows the sights and maybe a little bit of how it is, but not accurate of everyday life. So that's for sure. So we are at the top of the hour. I'll go ahead and stop recording. And if anyone has any other questions for Boaz or for myself, please feel free to ask.